Me?
You think this is funny?
In a cosmic sort of way, say.
Well, Mr. Funny Man, is this how you get your sick kicks?
What? It's just an ordinary... Oh my goodness! Squidward!
The Class 458 Juniper is a British 5-car electric multiple unit that is living proof that not everything that is used in Surrey is designed to last. Built in Birmingham just as the world was going to end, and currently operated by South Western Railway, the 458 has been responsible for making commuters on the Windsor Line's wish that they listened more at school, so they could have afforded a house in Maidenhead instead. They can be seen serving areas such as London Waterloo, Richmond, Hounslow, Windsor, and Reading. How have the trains fared in the last 2 decades of service? I'm honestly not so sure, but let's find out anyway. The Jupiter was introduced as a 4-car electric multiple unit as part of the plan to banish the elderly southern region slam doors from the region. To say that the 458 had a troubled introduction would be like saying Sonic 06 is an unfinished video game. The trains were plagued with various issues throughout their service life. From faulty air conditioning, lack of DDA compliance and just woeful reliability overall. They were even banned for a short period of time in the early 2000s due to issues of trains in the Coradia family rolling away outside of the driver's control. In the mid-2000s, Southwest trains actually had enough of their uselessness and thanks to improper DDA compliance, actually ditched them for several months, with only a few trains being used a day till sometime in 2007. 2 units actually went to Gatwick Express and were modified to be ready for use, but didn't carry a single passenger because lol. Things started to look up for the future of the 458 as they were progressively refurbished and modified throughout 2014 onwards. This was achieved by using surplus Class 460s that were used on the Gatwick Express and were fortunately built to a similar spec to the 458, combining them to make 36 5-car units. Now that we've finished our GCSE history lesson, let's have a good look around the train itself as it stands today. Whilst I have made jokes about how the train looks with its pseudo Class 450 front, I honestly don't think it's that bad of a looker. It looked better prior to the refurbishment, but it still looks passable enough today. In fairness, I'm stating this purely because this livery currently exists. Why? How could they desecrate my child like that? One good thing that the refurbishment did was get rid of the hopeless 3+2 seating arrangement and have it as a 2+2 with lots of grab poles and standing room. Some seats near the doors are actually 1+1 to create even more space. This is a very good idea for a train that is used on very demanding peak time routes, and is something I honestly wish more trains of a similar type had, as it allows for more standing room during the rush hour crush. The seats themselves are very comfortable as they weren't changed much from the refurbishment. Since the Jupiter Ascending is used on services which could take an hour or more, the seats have more give in them compared to the likes of the 455. It's not only acceptable, but it's nice to ride on, so that's good. As shown by this clip you are seeing, the Jumper is a very well made train. I don't see any of this having any relation to it being built in Birmingham, or it being somewhat related to the Class 180. Nope, not at all. Some dodgy seats aside, the Jumpman sadly has other faults to report on. Whilst all units have a pair of toilets, I wish you good luck riding on one when neither of them are actually functional. I estimate that on average, about 1 in 3 trains I ride on has a working toilet, and I've rode on the Juniper too many times to be proud of. The toilets themselves are passable at best, provided you have a gas mask of course. The small toilet is pretty damn small, but the disabled toilet is certainly large enough to practice your 360 no-scopes whilst you're on your way to Laser Quest in Wokingham. Onboard facilities are minimal, which can be expected for this kind of train, with medium-sized tables behind the seats, a large pair of wheelchair spaces next to the toilet, and pitiful scrolling information screens that are always out of sync with the audio announcements. The most recent addition is the installation of Wi-Fi, which works for the most part. The 458 is also one of a handful of trains I've been fortunate enough to look in the cab of. It has a very dull and cramped atmosphere to it, even when the carriageway doors aren't used. Sitting in the driver's seat feels like you're driving a post box with an AWS button, and can be about as comfortable as one too. No wonder many drivers prefer driving the 7070707. The Jupiter is not that fast. Well, it used to be in the past. but the top speed of 100 miles per hour was reduced to 75 during the refurbishment, so it could have better acceleration and to prevent overheating the motors, as if the 458 needed to deal with another set of problems. And besides, the top speed on the Windsor lines is 70, getting on 460 beyond Feltham. The Juniper, along with the 455 and the 707070 will be replaced in the not too distant future by the Class 701. As it's not in service yet, I won't be giving my thoughts on the 701 until it actually starts carrying those lovely sweaty passengers to and from Vauxhall. Conclusion. The 458 is there. It's just there. The reason why I said I honestly don't know about my overall thoughts at the start of the video was because in my eyes, the Juniper is a prime example of the pile-on effect. I've seen it so many times, and rode on it for tens of thousands of miles with average journeys, that I sometimes don't even notice that it's there or not. Could it be improved? Of course it can, but it feels weird for me to say I dislike the Jupiter. Ambivalence seems to be the most sensible route to take here. At least it's comfortable and has a more than decent aircon when it works. Now you know my thoughts on the Jupiter. Go out there and actually start paying attention to the announcements for the short platforms at Isleworth instead of pulling the Pascons, you selfish spanners.